Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7. We're at episode number 1688 today. Thank you so much for joining me for it as always. Thank you so much for subscribing to the show wherever you happen to be catching it. And also thank you to the patrons who support this show and help bring it to you every day by supporting me at patreon.com/SW7x7. So it's official, it's a wrap. Principal photography has finished for episode 9. That means production is over. Now we're heading into post-production and, reshoots maybe eventually, but that's okay. We have a movie. And this was announced by J.J. Abrams on his social media accounts, where he just gave a lot of gratitude to the cast and crew and what an amazing journey it was and all that. And he posted a photo of Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and Oscar Isaac hugging together on set. And of course, this has sparked all sorts of speculation about what is going on in the photo, what can we learn about it. And so, let's speculate a little bit, shall we? One of the things that I saw was noting that Rey has a band around the spot where she was injured by one of the Praetorian guards. And so, could that suggest that it's happening not long after the events of The Last Jedi? But it's not a bandage. It's actually just a, leather strap around her arm. So it doesn't seem like that's something that would indicate that it's really close to the events of The Last Jedi. Also, John Boyega's hair has grown out, comparatively speaking. So that would be a suggestion that at least some time has passed, but certainly not immediately after the events of The Last Jedi. But as to whether it's 6 months or 6 years, well, can't really tell. And the same thing goes with Oscar Isaac and his character Poe Dameron. Also, his hair is a bit longer as well, a bit foofier with the hair on top. And yeah, that still doesn't tell us anything either. I think the big speculation has to do with the background of the photo. And incidentally, I don't think we can decide for sure when this photo was taken. I think the implication, of course, is that it's a very recent photo, and that maybe they are hugging because it is their last day on set together. But it is also entirely possible that it was just their last day filming in whatever location they're in, for example, or just that the picture was taken at some other point. It was possibly a hugely crazy, intense action scene or set of scenes that they were shooting, and they were like, oh, we finally got it right, and collapsing together, like that sort of thing. All sorts of reasons why this photo could be what it is, and when it was and where it was, and still not necessarily be the final photo from the final moment of filming. And yet it might well be anyway. And as far as the props go, if you look carefully behind the back of Poe Dameron, you can see just the tip of Rey's quarterstaff. And so that's awesome. I mean, I think from what we saw, we didn't see a heck of a lot of her using it in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, but she's certainly proficient with it. And so even though she has a nice fancy lightsaber, I think it's pretty cool that we could have the potential to see her fighting with that implement as well. Now, it's hard to tell if any of the other people in the photo are any, background characters or anything like that. There seems like there might be one tucked over on the left-hand side of the photo, but for the most part, it looks like it's crew that's there. And so, yeah, not a lot to tell us there. I think really the thing that I'm kind of dancing around, that we're just going to dive right into, is the actual environment in which we see them, which is very deserty. And so that's where our real rampant speculation happens. And the big question is, where is it? Where is it? And I guess question 1A out of that is it a place to which we've been before? And if not, then, 1B is, well, where is it? And we can't really do anything with that. So let's go back to 1A, which is, if it's a place that we've seen before, well, I think we've got 4 options, basically. One of them would be Jakku, of course, going back to her homeworld. One of them would be Tatooine, because it sure seems like they go to Tatooine with every trilogy. So that would be something that would make sense. It could also be Jeddah, and that's something that I think would be rather interesting, especially if Rey needs to build a new lightsaber, for example, and that's an interesting place to go find some crystals. And, it's just a ruined planet, but not an utterly destroyed one based on the events of Rogue One. And then one other possible flyer is the planet Savareen that we saw at the end of Solo: A Star Wars Story. So all 4 of those planets have the same kind of, climate, or at least in some regions of those planets have the same climate as what we're looking at in the photo here. Question is, where are they? And, now that I think about it too, the fact that Rey has her quarterstaff here, does this have anything to do with the fact that she doesn't maybe yet have a new lightsaber? That would be a rather interesting possibility, that she's here on a hunt for a new lightsaber crystal. And I would think that that has to be something we're going to see in episode 9, that Rey is going to have to build her own lightsaber and get started with that again. That seems like a pretty obvious story point to me, but that's just me. I'd love to know what you think about that as well. So drop me a line wherever you happen to catch this episode, or at home base for the show at sw7x7.com. And if it is one of those 4 planets, I will, lay odds on them here in just a moment, but I do just want to remind you, of course, to subscribe to the show if you're not doing so already. And also, if you feel like this Daily Dose of Star Wars Joy is worth buying me a monthly cup of coffee, for example, or something stronger, depending on how you feel about it, then please do consider checking out the fun rewards that you can get as a result of being a patron and supporting this Daily Dose of Star Wars Joy at patreon.com/SW7x7. So, we have those 4 planets: Savareen, Jedha, Tatooine, and, oh gosh, why did I just suddenly forget the last one? Jakku, of course. Silly me. So, Savareen, if they are looking to stay in the Outer Rim and refine fuel for the Resistance, then yeah, sure, that's a possibility. I don't necessarily think it all that likely, but we also don't know what is going on with Enfys Nest and whether she has survived not only all the way through Solo: A Star Wars Story and the starting of the rebellion, but beyond the rebellion. She's certainly young enough to be able to do that. So yeah, it could be a possibility. As far as Jakku, yeah, there is definitely something in Star Wars stories where you want to send the protagonist back to the place where they came from. And so, yeah, you could certainly make a strong case for that. I saw somebody suggest about Tatooine that the reason why they would end up there is to bring, Luke Skywalker's body back or bury him there, which automatically, we have to rule that out because there's no body. He just up and disappeared into the Force. So, yeah, that's not going to be an issue unless they're going to go back and take his hand back to Tatooine or something like that. I don't know. Find that to be unlikely, to say the least. And then Jedha, well, like I said before, you're talking about subscriptions and patrons and all that stuff, the fact that she's going to have to go there at some point, I think, or, go to some place to get a lightsaber crystal, I think that's probably something that will, have to be taken into account unless she goes back to Ahch-To and gathers all of his belongings, which should include his green lightsaber. I kind of don't see that happening, and there haven't really been any reports of any filming back in Dublin, but they probably wouldn't even need to do that. I mean, they could probably do it with some of the footage that they already have for exteriors, and then I'm sure they could build an interior set at Pinewood if they needed to do that for sure. So I think they could get away with it if they needed to, but I don't think they're going to go that route. I think she has to build her own, quite honestly. So I'll say it's between, Jedha and Jakku, and, just for fun, I'll give the edge to Jedha, but I'd love to hear what you think about that. So, hey, drop me a line, as I said, wherever, or at sw7x7.com, and let me know what you think. And that is going to do it for the show today. Thank you so much for joining me for it, as always. And, of course, may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
This podcast is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox. It is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other related Star Wars items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2019 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.